Let's see. All right, so we are live, and no music intro tonight. My lack
Okay.
of music background. Let's see.
You need like that retro 80s fishing music where it's like dun, dun, like it's like
Yeah,
almost kind of like the WrestleMania
there you
music where
go.
it gets
Yeah,
all gets
There
all
you
hyped
go.
up. You need like that
yeah. We're
retro
live.
80s fishing music where it's like dun, dun, like almost kind of like
Yeah.
the wrestle.
Okay, it's on. I'm going to share this on here. Link. All right, we are on here. I think. Oh, what happened here? Oh, we got a couple of people on. Hey, say hi if you're here. I'd like to find out if you can hear us before we get going here, and then we will go from there. I'm going to find a way to share this real quick, uh, and we will be on our way. Everybody hear me? You guys hear
Yep.
me?
Yep.
For maybe a post from somebody to see how live we are. Golly, okay.
Hey David,
David?
Sandal
Hey,
Roberts.
Sandy Roberts. She's out of
There we go.
hibernation. Sandy, I know her from somewhere. Colorado. Cass King Queen. The Cass King Queen.
Nice.
You can hear. Okay. All right. We got a few people on here already. So tonight, and this, by the way, this will be live on, or not live. It'll be recorded on YouTube later, so if people want to see it later. But tonight, I mean, we're in the doldrums of winter, except for the ice guys, right, Michael?
Yep.
And
I got a tournament Saturday.
there you go. So who we have on here is Jiggy J Zilra and I butchered your name again, Jay.
It's okay.
Michael, and then Michael Thomas, and but first and foremost, you guys, guess what, Sandy? Oh, she's still hibernating. Okay. Jay just had a little one, everybody. So give him a big hand for that. And he's got him safe at home.
So check
So
this out, Marty. He was 5 pounds, 16 ounces, and exactly 21 inches. So I told everybody I was a master angler, my
you
first
are
child. Yeah.
okay. So
Crazy.
remember to send me your address so I can send you a master angler decal.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can
Sweet.
put it on his crib.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. But so congratulations, and then Michael, you've got quite a few kids already, though, don't you?
I got two.
Two? Okay.
Yep. I got 11-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl.
Okay. So you guys have kiddos around now. So first of all, what we want to do though is we want to tell people out here tonight's show is about a couple anglers that have recently got into kayak fishing. You know, the you're not guys that have been out in the Hobie Tour and the Bassmasters class. These are two guys from Nebraska that have started out, but their names are out there. And we're going to find out why in a minute or a few minutes. But what we want to do is ask some questions tonight about for the new angler, for guys that haven't quite experienced this the kayak fishing scene yet, but are like, I want to know what this is all about. So first of all, though, Jiggy J, let's hear a little bit about you first, and then we'll go to Michael.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Jay, or people just call me Jason. I'm from the Bellevue area. My dad was in the military, so I grew up around Omaha. Right now, I reside in Papillion. Um, I really got into fishing because my dad just liked to pan fish a lot. But as my parents split up when I was younger. One of the things I hold close to me is the time I spent with my dad locally. So I just anytime I wanted to get away, fishing was something from the bank that I always did with my dad. Um, and So that's how I kind of just got generally into fishing. Right now, I would say, a securities professional at Pacific Life here in Omaha in Exarban. So I help out with a lot of families and financial professionals here around Omaha. But I have a wife. Her name's Michelle, and we just got our first child on Monday last week. So we're super busy. I'm thankful I got some sleep recently. And these are little things today that keep me going and look forward to more fishing in this new year.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Awesome. So, what I just before you go, Michael, we got a few people I'm gonna make a shout out to because we have Sandy, David, James Strawbridge from Colorado's on. Seems like we got a couple Colorado people, and then Scott, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's Scott Setchowitz, I believe. And guess what? Dwayne Wally. You guys know Dwayne Wally?
Yeah.
He's the
Yep.
Kenny X guy. And then we have Joshua Booth, and he says, "Congratulations, Daddy."
Thank you.
So, the director of the All American is on here. That's kind of cool. So
Nice.
now let's go to Michael. Michael, let's hear a little bit about your story here.
Well, I'm Michael. I'm from Bellevue, Nebraska. Pretty much born in Omaha, but I live in Bellevue. Pretty much, my dad, since a young age, put a pole, a bobber, and a worm. That's how I started, and pretty much grew from there. I got 2 kids, Simber and Hilton, 11 and 7. Fiance Jessica, just pretty much living life, and I work at Hanson Mueller Grain Elevator. I work out in the cold. I pretty much fish, home life, and work. That's all I do.
You're living the dream, man.
I'm trying.
So Dwayne Wally just said it's finally great to put faces with names, and that's so true. He's probably seen your names at the top of the leaderboards and so forth, but he doesn't know who these guys are, and that's so true. That's one reason why we have you on here is to put faces with names. So the first question we have, and I know we have 2 guys on here, so we're kind of taking turns, and but the people that get on here, we're getting quite a few people on here too, by the way. So the first thing is first of all, let's stay with you, Michael, for a second. What influenced you to start kayak fishing?
Well, to be honest, I was on the bank at Walnut Creek, and I seen 2 guys in a Hobie, and it was windy, and I seen them basically sitting there. They didn't have a motor, they didn't have an anchor or anything. So I seen them just sitting there pedaling. I was like, dude, that is cool. I'd like to be out there. So one day, me and my dad, and my parents, we went camping at Louisville. So we rented a kayak. I got in it, and I was hooked ever since. And then I started looking online, looking at tournaments. I've been wanting to do tournaments since I was 16. So I couldn't get into the field of that financially and didn't have a boat or a kayak or anything like that. So I basically, when I got into that kayak, I was like, you know what? I want to see if there's any kayak tournaments. So then I looked up tournaments, and the first ones were sticks. So that's how I kind of got started. And then I've been plugging away ever since.
Nice. And I want to tell you, though, that your perception of those guys in the water is a little different than the reception I got when I started. It was, who's that freak out there in that plastic thing? and I was holding up fish, and we're like, hey, how's he doing that? So,
yeah,
it's kind of cool how you say that. And I was moving in the wind. So, okay, so Jay, what's your story? What influenced you to get into the kayak fishing world?
Well, I was mostly a weekend warrior where I did a lot of self-planning and I just beat the banks as much as I could. For a period of time, I was just plateauing and catching master angler bass from the banks all the time. So a lot of my presentations were always usually the same depending on the season. And I always told myself, I need to continue to learn more. And the only way I'm going to be able to continue to learn more is by getting myself out a little bit deeper. And have more challenges out in deeper water, different structure, and it was a personal journey for me just to kind of get away. But then I met Jay and Rick here locally in Omaha, and they weren't really pushing for competitive fishing. They just wanted just to have somebody to fish with, and I really like that whole camaraderie in kayak fishing because not only is it self journey, but I didn't realize there's a big community. So with that being said, the more you meet people, you really start become like an ambassador to yourself and to really grow the sport. And I thought, hey, I found out with the sticks also, but it was such a big club that I didn't know anything, the ins and outs about competitive fishing. So I heard about the Central States, and it was a smaller group of guys. And what I always say is, there's never any losing. There's always learning, and there's no failures, just opportunities, right? So
Mhm.
I took that into what I wanted to get out of kayak fishing, not as from a competitive standpoint. That could be a second thing, but it's just a way to help myself grow personally and also help build the community. And with the group of guys that we have, it only became a natural thing that I did, and it came naturally for me and the relationships I built since I started this year. So
That's great. Thanks for those stories, guys. But I want to ask this question, because this is when I started, I bought a book. I bought a nose plug. What do you think my fear was?
drowning, swimming.
Yeah, I thought I was going to tip over in kayak. And so, what was one thing you concerned you before getting out in that water?
Zeroing out, not being able to catch a fish. I think that's
Okay,
my greatest
so
fear.
so flipping over wasn't an issue. Okay,
No.
Michael, is Michael here?
Well, yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
I would say flipping over, but pretty much every kayak I've been into, I've flipped over. So I wouldn't say that. It would be more of, I would definitely say zeroing out myself.
okay,
So
okay. So the fear of not catching a fish in both.
yeah.
Ends. Okay. By the way, we have James Leggett on here. You guys know him. And
Yes,
Rick
sir.
Valadez, Wesley Owens, and they're making some comments. So if you look at your comments, you can see that. But we're glad to have those guys on here too. So the biggest fear was zeroing out, not flipping.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
flipping, you're always going to be able to get up,
Yeah.
fall down, get back
Yeah.
up. You might lose some stuff, but it's all about preparation, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
zeroing out, big body of water, you only need to just catch 5, right? I don't care
Yeah.
about them
Yeah.
being big, but
Mhm.
zeroing out, I think, is probably the biggest fear because it seems so simple, right? But it can be so hard. And
Yeah.
that's why we continue to do what we do, is because
Yeah.
I don't want that to be in the back of my mind ever. But I mean, it's just something that you kind of start with as you build your confidence.
Sure. So what were some of the challenges you guys faced when you started, if you had any?
The wind.
The wind. Okay.
Yeah.
Not having a
Okay.
net.
Okay.
I think my first couple of competitions, I think Wanahoo, big part. I could have probably got in the top 5 if I didn't miss like 3 big fish. And I always thought, like, I've never missed a fish in a kayak before. But in competition, it's different, right? You might set the hook too early, or you're not paying attention, and you have all these other things going on, and you don't have them pinned. So a couple of times I lost fish right by the boat. Multiply this year, not having my net.
And
I
see,
think
that's what's really different. It's kind of cool because my challenges as a veteran in the sport are just conversely different than what you guys are facing. You're trying to land fish. I was just trying to stay stable. I was trying to keep my legs awake in a tight compartment because I had a little one hole thing kayak and my legs were in there. So catching the fish never crossed my mind. It was survival first. but for you guys, it sounds like the challenges were getting a fish into the boat, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my first kayak before I got into kayak fishing was a year before was my Feel Free, or I'm sorry, my Big Fish 105. So,
Yeah.
she was a beast. She's kind of heavy, but she was super stable. So, that first year before kayak fishing, I kind of really practiced about boat positioning and how I need to have the boat. And then my next year, I got a Pelican, which was kind of the first Mirage Drive setup. It doesn't have any reverse, so I got a little bit better then. And then this year, I just stepped up to an Old Town. It's really about boat positioning for me now,
Mhm.
and being able to have those lines that I can see and make. And I think that's what really I was trying to improve it as my year and a half of fishing, progressed.
Okay, so next let's talk about success. Joshua, first Joshua Booth just said Marty started out in ancient times when the yaks were all tippy. Correct. He's correct. And they were tippy. And the second kayak I had a plug in the middle of it. And you know how your center of your kayak, it's not the console, but the sink area, that little, that was below the water.
Wow.
So when you pulled that plug out, you didn't sink, but your whole area there was filled with water, and you got itchy butt because your butt was in water all day.
Yeah, you're chafing all day. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was, I was like, somebody gotta get this right, because this isn't fun. It wasn't fun when I started.
Is it all about your head position? Like your center is usually where your head's at?
Yeah, there's 3 golden rules to kayak fishing. Number 1 is wear a PFD, and rig to float and swim, and rig to float, and dress to swim. Well, keeping your head in the center was one of the most important things then. And guys still get out a little bit and they can tip, but those were the biggest concerns, And so I mean it was, and then my third kayak was a wilderness ride. It was a scuba kayak. You could put a scuba tank on the back of it. I mean, they just weren't out there yet, So you guys, I mean, the guys today, getting into the sport, you can spend between a couple $100 and almost $6,000
or
paid more.
$200 for mine.
Yeah, there you go.
I call it a Walmart special.
Yeah, there you go. So in that, what are some of the successes you guys have had? And let's start with Michael and I. What kind of successes did you have? Right, this now. Remember, you guys have been this for 1 year, right?
2. I've been for 2 years.
Okay, 2 years. I'm sorry, 2 years. What are some of the successes you've had in your first 2 years?
I cashed my first check last year.
There you go.
Pretty much when I first started out, I was always watching other anglers. I wasn't paying attention to what I should be doing. So my first mentality, I could go on the bank and catch fish all day long. Getting a kayak, it was harder. So I was like, I'm going to go out and win. Yeah, I got hosed. So pretty much this year, I would say a success is I completely changed my mindset of just going out, enjoying myself, meeting new people, and, just try to get a limit. It doesn't matter what size, whatever, just try to get a limit. And since I changed my mindset, it's done me well.
Yeah. So the sport is not just physical, but you feel like there's a mental aspect.
Yes, of course. There's a big mental.
Okay. So Jay, what do you say about what do you have to tell us about your success in the first 2 years?
This is my first year. I've only been kayak fishing for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
So this year, you and I think we took the big bass brawl and a 12-mile lake.
Oh yeah.
Team competition.
You were my guide.
Yeah, I guided you that day pretty much. It was a fire day though. It was a really good day. I'm always going to remember that day.
Yeah.
And then I won a major league fishing with one of your events at Flanagan this year.
Yeah.
Got second place at Green Valley. And then
I got second at Green Valley.
I'm sorry, Grand Valley. I'm sorry, 12 mile, 12 mile, which Rick won first. Sorry, I got those mixed up.
Yeah.
And then at the All American, I got trash fish there.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So, but mostly I learned a lot of being intentional. I think having a plan A, B, and C throughout the day, really planning out not only what you want to do, but also your energy, keeping your energy up, eating good the day before, getting a good sleep, just playing well, and keep open-mindedness is something that I really help. I think that everybody should do. Everybody gets stuck on one bait all the time, but that one bait on the second day might not be the right bait, right? So I'm always open to different techniques. So I think talking to people, conversating, talking about what works for them, and just trying to create a plethora of information that when you go out there you have a feel, and just trusting your gut and trusting your feel. That's really the confidence is really what I was successful this year heating up. So
nice. So favorite memory so far? What favorite memory you guys have on the water? Hey guys, my I know it's like a show thing. My wife's home, so we got to keep this rated PG, okay?
Okay.
Well, to be honest, Marty, one of my memorable moments was me and you at Walnut Creek when I was getting skunked, and I asked you if you caught anything. You're like, "Yeah, I caught a few," and you were like, "You catch anything?" I said, "I haven't even got a bite." Well, what are you throwing? I said, "A Nico." You said, "Keep throwing it, just keep throwing it," and that gave me the confidence. And then shoot, 15 yards down, I pulled like a 13 and a half.
Yeah.
I pulled a 15 and a half, and then I just kept going after that. That's one of my memorable moments right there.
That's cool to hear, man.
Confidence
Cool.
to keep going.
I remember that night. That's pretty neat. That's the thing too is, this is a sport that you may or may not have instant success, but I don't know of anything that you have instant success in without a lot of hard work. And obviously you guys have put in a lot of hard work in the short time you've been in this. And obviously you love the sport as well. And with some of the people on here right now, I know we've developed a lot of great friendships from that. So that's pretty cool. And then Jay, so what do you have for a favorite memory?
I think my two favorite memories is being next to Nate Gloria on 2 different lakes, on 2 different dates, 2 different tournaments, catching 21, 22-inch bass, right? And he's always either right behind me or right next to me throwing the same thing. And those are the type of things that motivate me because it's only cast away, right? From that next big one. And it was just cool to see him succeeding and being right there, taking his photo, and just seeing other people happy on the water too, not just myself. So, that definitely sticked out.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk about this. What are some of you guys know what I like to throw?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious. Then you go, of course. In fact, I've got several disciples at school right now that this week we built them in our little shop skills class, and they took them home, and so they're anxious to use them this year. So, what are some of your guys' favorite presentations to use? And if you feel like some of them don't have to share your secrets here, but some things that you think might work for a new angler that you've used.
Go ahead, Jay.
Okay, I guess my top 3, Texas rig. Make sure you snell knot that. If you're really, people like to set the hook pretty hard on them, but it's super versatile. You can, put different trailers on it. You can fish them aggressively depending on your weight. You could be super finesse. It really helped with your cast and your accuracy to build confidence throwing that. I think another one would be a drop shot. 10-inch worm drop shot is really killer here in the Midwest, I think. It's also versatile bait, easily get bit. And then my third, I would say, probably a jerk bait. A jerk bait, I think, is pretty versatile. When I first started fishing, I used to be the guy who threw a jerk bait in the summer. Not because I didn't know what I was doing, it's because I just wanted that bigger presentation that's different than what everybody else is throwing. So I think those 3 things, and then maybe a frog. I think a new person having that visual cue and seeing fish bite, it gets people hooked on fishing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that top water, a frog, or kind of like a jigger bug or something, if you can get your hands on those. I think it was one of the first top water baits that I ever used.
Okay, what about you, Michael?
I would say my first one would be a lipless crankbait. You can cast it out there, it goes deep, you can reel it fast, go shallow. My second one would be a chatterbait. I love the jackhammers. They're expensive, but I love the jackhammers. My third one, it'd be a toss-up between Nico, of course, but if I went a different direction, I would definitely go with like a topwater frog or a buzzbait. I love that topwater blow up. That's awesome.
Jay, you said the snell knot, and I'd like to clarify something there. When you have that snell knot, I don't have a hook with me; it's in my shop. But so the hook, when you have a snell knot and that knot's on the shank, when you go to to set that hook on that fish, that hook will go like this on it rather than here. And that's what a lot of guys are doing with, especially when they're punching. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think you mean by the Snell knot.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. And then Dwayne Wally, he's got a lot of wisdom, guys. He says, stick to your plan. He's so right. And then Sean Carfield's on. He says, I throw a Texas rig a lot. He does.
Yeah.
And
I
so
fish
that's
a Texas rig. I fish a
Okay.
Texas rig topwater too. I get a really lightweight
Yeah.
and get a really heavy like creature bait. You can also run them through the top too, on top of just newly matted vegetation on top of water. It's pretty killer.
Nice. Okay. Here you go. Just a one-word answer. Shallow or deep? Your confidence. Is it shallow or deep?
Shallow.
Okay, Michael. Why is yours deep?
I've had more success on shallow water than deep water. I'm
You're
leaning
saying
more.
shallow. You're
Yeah.
shallow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, throwing like a buzz bait top water, or I can throw a lipless crankbait in like 3-4 foot of water and just buzz it right through. And I mean, they hit it almost every time. But
Nice.
I like shallow.
And so, Jay, you said deep.
I like deep. I mean, shallow is, you're gonna get a lot more bites. I think less fish depending on when you're fishing in the season. But I think deeper, I have a lot of confidence because, a lot of the things on the bigger lakes you can find here locally, and I just kind of practice on those smaller, kind of imitate that here locally. And if you position some of your baits right on these deep structure, or just off ledges, they seem to bite easier, and because it's just kind of there for them. A lot of people use live scope to target these bigger fish too. I know it's kind of a big trend that people are doing, because you can go down a shallow bank all day and see a lot of fish, but are they going to be quality? I just feel like, depending on what kind of bite you want, but I have confidence in fishing a little deeper, like 12 to 18 feet is usually where I like to be at. If I can be there. Most of my big fish that I caught this year were kind of off that second level, off the bank, in deeper water.
Yeah, I noticed it was 12 Mile where I was kind of by you, and I was fishing some rock and some edges, and you stuck to that deep water the whole day, and it paid off for you, didn't it?
Yeah, the big bass brawl was deep, and then at 12 Mile second place was deep also.
Yeah. So, what are you guys most looking forward to this next season as we approach the next season here?
Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead.
Okay, I look forward to getting meeting new people, joining our local trail, fishing new bodies of water, kind of learning more things this year. I know I got a New York kayak, so I want to put it through its paces. Thinking about putting a motor on the boat this year, since it's legal now. So hopefully be able to cover more water. Look forward to trying out different things.
How about you, Michael?
I would agree with Jay. Meet new people. I'm hoping Central States basically kind of blows up more, get some more anglers out there, maybe even a younger crowd. Go out there, learn from them. They can learn from us. Basically, learn, teach, and just have a good time, and just hopefully, everybody just gets along and has a good time.
Right now, and speaking of younger crowd, I think you guys know we've got this year, you guys, and for those that are watching, we have a Monday night league in Southeast Nebraska where 2 youth can pair up, or a youth can pair up with an adult, but 2 adults cannot pair up. And that's kind of getting those younger guys into the sport. And by the way, this whole thing is free. And yeah, it's about an hour south of Omaha and Lincoln. But I'm hoping to get some guys and maybe take a Monday or 2 to come down. We're going to do 5 of those. And We're going to have an Angler of the Year in that too as well. And the Angler of the Year in the adult division and youth division is going to win a catchboard, a metal catchboard engraved. And we have all the catchboards already, the leashes. Guys at school are talking about it. I'm doing a presentation later this week to 42 kids in a club just north of here. And we're going to talk about it there. So I think that's where you get more into this as well. But I do see more people getting into it as we go. A lot of guys I found, the competition keeps, they're not quite think they're ready for that. You guys said earlier, they're afraid. You guys are afraid of or you were concerned about zeroing out. And the thing is like you said earlier, Jay, is learning. That's how you learn. And, and you know what? We've all had the skunk stripe on our heads at some point or another. And I myself have been in major tournaments where I didn't get a bite, and I came back and people thought I was kidding. I was like, no, I didn't get a bite, and that sometimes that happens to you. And then Tim Parker's on. This is my dudes. He must like you guys.
And James Francis.
Yeah.
James Francis on? Yeah. He finally woke up.
James.
He woke up from his nap. He's an old guy.
He missed the good stuff.
You did, well, he'll listen. He'll go back and listen. I guarantee it. And Dwayne Wally said, "What's considered young? Haha. It's not me, you, or Marty. That's for sure." But we got a lot of kids that are getting interested, and they are just eating this up. And so, my goal is to get more young people started and get them outside, and experience these kinds of things. So this little class we're doing is called Outdoor Skills Shop, or out. I think that's what I named it. I can't remember now, but we have a few kids that are involved in that. It's going great. So you guys talked about what you're looking forward to. Is there one particular tournament that you have in mind that's like you've got it circled on your calendar? Like that's the one that I can't wait till it happens. I think I've got a chance to do something there. Is there a red number thing for you out there?
Probably the first event in Lake Wanahoo. It's just like it's a premier lake in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of, as far as the numbers, recently that have been posted about it, it's kind of on the decline.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope to see a good numbers come out of that lake for us when we start. I know we're going to be pushing it a little bit, a couple weeks forward, but, had a couple fish lost there.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do too well at the Halloween thing with the sticks.
Mm-hmm.
It was really bad weather. So I look to get some redemption from that lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never fished Wanahoo before, but mine would be the Green Valley 12-mile championship. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Nice. Yeah. I love camping there. For you guys that have not fished those areas, they are fun.
Yes, they are.
I go out there just on my own and I fish those lakes.
Mm-hmm.
Just camp and go fishing, and people are really nice there. There's a little town there. They have everything you need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a good getaway. It's about 2 hours from Omaha, maybe.
Yeah,
about 2.5 hours. Yeah.
So here's another thing I wanted to add, Marty, too, is if you're a lot of people getting into new and kayak fishing, I would suggest going to like the SRAs locally, the state recreational areas.
Mm-hmm.
Around Omaha, we have 2 rivers and we have Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
I built so much confidence in throwing a lot of different stuff and learning on the water from those places because they're the sand bottom lakes. They warm up quicker in the year. You can fish them more throughout the year. They get less pressure because people are just there just to camp. They're not really putting a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
It's just a good place for people to kind of get their feet under them. That way you don't have all the boat traffic, no wake areas. A little safer place, to learn kayak fishing.
So if you guys that are listening, if you've got a question for these guys, feel free to ask. And James already did. James beat us to it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "What tournament or lake are you guys most looking forward to next year?" I never saw that, James, but him and I think alike, and apparently we must look alike according to his last post on Instagram.
Yeah,
he had 3 guys ask if he was me on the lake, and that was kind of cool. So. Hopefully we'll get a question here for you guys as well. We're getting near the end, but if you guys have something that you want to talk about, and we got time. So what else do we do when there's freezing temperatures outside and we're inside this winter? So if you got something that you want to talk about here, go ahead.
Well, I mean, with this cold weather or whatever, I like to go ice fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go out there, ice hut in the heater, and I personally don't like search for the big fish during the ice season. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've only been doing it about 8 years, but I'm still intrigued on pulling like a little itty bitty bluegill out of the ice. I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Saturday is the crappie shed trial at Yankee Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tournament they're having going on, basically kind of like the same thing me and you did for the sticks or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that, see what I can do out there. Get a little bit of redemption. Hopefully I can get my limit on crappie this time.
Nice. Is that the crappie shed out of Auburn? David Armstrong?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know he put a tournament out there, but he's big in ice fishing. He loves catching crappie, I know. So he's trying to get me over to that dark side all the time.
Come on over.
He goes to basketball games. We go there and watch basketball, and he's always waving a crappie jig at me. Up there, it's kind of cool.
Come on over, Marty.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I grew up on the beach, man. I just don't know. I go if somebody invites me, and I've got a little buddy heater and some gloves. I could probably stay out for a little bit, but man, I just do not like the cold. I'll tell you what. So go ahead. What do you got? Did Jiggy J anything?
This goes for James's question. I want to know what these guys are now to prep for the upcoming season.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
This is exactly what I was going to kind of touch on.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you like this? I just got my moon weights in. I ordered from eBay, and they're dipped just like the way you do yours. But I don't want to go through the labor of doing it, so I ordered them online. So I got 50 new moon weights. I'm ready to glue on and set up on my Z-Man worms. So.
Nice.
That's what I'm prepping for that cold water. Get all my jerk baits ready. Not much. I ordered a whole bunch of soft plastics. I think I'm good to go. As a fisherman, I think we over prep, we over ready until we might overdo it. So I need to kind of hold off right now, but that's what I've been doing. This little terminal tackle maintenance.
Nice. How about you, Michael?
Well, I've just been getting all the gear that I've been using last year. I haven't bought too much lately, but getting all my gear all basically lined up and organized and everything, because I'll be going to Lake Fork, Texas for the February 5th and 6th for the Kayak Bass Series. So nice. Just been getting my stuff organized and ready for that. That's pretty much all I've been doing.
Well, James Francis just asked, anyone buy some DT8s?
You tell me where you can buy some DT8s, James, and I'll be the first person to buy some.
Yeah, here's the issue, though, Jay. The issue is James has an inside track to these places. He's bought them all. There's none left.
Share the wealth.
I know. I'll bet, James, I want you to submit a photo on Facebook tonight of all the DT8s you have. You watch. He's got cases of them. You cannot go anywhere.
I have 2 cases. I have 2 cases of DT6s. I have 2 cases of DT10s. I don't have any DT8s at all. Yeah. I have a box ready to buy some and put them in. I just I don't know when they go on sale.
But if you look at some of these websites, it says out of stock. It says whatever they say, like due April of 2026.
I know. Yeah.
That's what they're gonna have them. So, he's got 12 of them. That's not fair.
Did it come with a plug knocker just in case you lose them?
Oh man. So so here's a great question by Scott Seskowitz. He is asking, can you touch base on the type of rods you use, and maybe even the line if you want?
Well, I use actually a couple different rods. I got not every Abu Garcia rod, but I got most of them. That's pretty much what I use, like the Black Max. I mean, your cheaper rods, but I just bought me The crank and stick, the one that you have,
Mhm.
I've been using. I like that one a lot. And then the Mojo, I can't think of the name of that. It's the purple rod, Mojo rod for a jig rod. I've been trying to work on jigging or whatever. Other one that I use Stren 12 pound. That's pretty much. I mean, I'm not like fancy, and I'm not a big fan of braid, but I'm trying to maybe lure a couple rods into braid because I've heard that works a little bit better than your Stren. But
Okay.
I'm pretty simple.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't do anything like extra or special or anything. I just got some rods and got found a pretty good line that I liked, and I use it.
Mhm. How about you,
Uh,
Jay?
I run a Daiwa, Tatula, SV, kind of a more of a finesse baitcaster. I don't throw any spinning rods. I run that on like a 6'8".
Hold it. Stop. Show's over. Show-
What?
You don't. Hey, this show's all about spinning rod Nikos. I'm just kidding. I'm just
I
kidding.
know. So I don't like the line twist, so I go just like a
No,
6'8"
go ahead. I'm
St.
sorry.
Croix rod. Really finesse bait casters for all my finesse
Okay.
applications.
Yeah.
And then for that I have a couple of Falcon rods that I use on my Shimano like 200K. I have all the Corrado 200 HG. I'm right-handed, but I run everything left-handed. I'm a big numbers guy, right? The more casts I can do, the more
Mhm.
opportunity I
Mhm.
have to catch fish. So,
Amen to
um,
that.
anyway, I can leverage fish. So my go-to would probably be all around would be my Veritas
Mhm.
7.2 um, on a probably just a Shimano 300K, I think.
Mhm.
I just like to fish that just to feel. It's old school. And then as far as line, 12-pound suffix, maybe 14-pound suffix, fluoro. I never really go braid to anything. I just straight tie everything.
Okay.
Um, um, but yeah, leveraging fish and making sure you're in a kayak, it's different than you're for more vertical. So
Mhm.
I kind of get longer rods but short butts, so
Mhm.
that way you're not jamming into your size a lot.
Mhm.
So I modded some of my rods recently for that, and yeah, and stiffer action on some. But since I crank a lot too, at the 12 mile I got that 6 gill moderate, a lot of bend, kind of helping the rod work for you. So
Mhm.
getting that in and crank in is pretty comfortable for the most part. I use that for my chatterbaits and also for my my DT10s and stuff.
Okay. Cool. Then, excuse me, Tim Park. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Joe J. But that was funny that you said no. I don't spinning rods. But if you need one and we're on the water, I usually carry 3 or 4 with me if you need one. Okay.
I
All
I got
right.
just like
about two
to.
or three myself, so
Yeah. So Tim Parker asked about he I know I mentioned that I'm using different techniques this year a little bit. I'm trying some new stuff. I mean, I'm still going to throw my confidence, but at the same time, here's the why, and I want and you guys can elaborate on this. Is that the fish we fish nowadays are extremely pressured. There's more and
Mhm.
more people fishing. There's more and more presentations out there. The fish kind of they shy away from it. It doesn't look real. So I am going to say this. I'm going really small with some things, and I'm going to see if that makes a difference with the presentations. And he just mentions swim baits, and here I am talking about something no bigger than a dime, to catch bass. So, what are your thoughts on that as far as different techniques? Maybe are you guys going to try something different, or are you going to stay with, hey, this is what I'm confident in, and this is what I'm going to use?
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead, Jay.
I think this year I'm gonna. Well, I was my first year. I would say I would consider myself more of a power fisherman, but at
Mhm.
heart I would say I'm a finesse fisherman. So to be a little bit more well-rounded, moving forward, probably going to start throwing a jig more, or throwing more of a drop shot with a bigger, so slower but bigger presentation.
Mhm.
That way, since they're pressure, they're probably going to want to eat on a bigger item less. I mean, sorry, that one time and not have to look for these small little meals. But I think also dialing back my jig maybe to a smaller jig, I think also helps for hookups. Um, not every lake around here has a lot of big ends, right? So
Mm.
Jack's trying to maintain a good numbers for your bite. Just trying to get a bite, right? Trying to get a decent bite, but I don't want to also pick catching like 12 inches all day
Mhm.
or 14 inches all day too.
Mhm.
So that's a good thing to point out, Maury. So I never really thought about how I want to fish smaller, but it's something I probably gonna look into.
Okay.
To be honest, I'll probably just stick to what I've been doing. Had a buddy on the phone tell me, buddy Alex, we talked for a while, and I told him I wanted to be a more diverse angler, like learn everything. And one thing that's going to stick into my head, he said, um, pretty much stick to my strong points, but make it my own.
Mhm. Mhm.
So and that's where it come with like the lipless crankbait. I don't know. I mean, I know a few people use them, but not very often. But
Mhm.
like lipless crankbaits and a couple other deals, yeah,
Mhm.
I'll make it my own and pretty much just I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. It's working out so far. So
And so, like on that, Tim Parker asks, he's asked me, am I free rigging, I call it free lining. I grew up free lining. I grew up with a circle hook or a nickel hook. I lived by the ocean too, with live bait on it, and I free lined everything. There was no weights. But this year, yes, weight is involved, but it's a very small presentation.
mhm.
So I'm using that weight to get it down, but at the same time, I'm going smaller with some things, and not. It's just something different. I want to try and see if it works. But I think that sometimes we have to do something different that the fish haven't seen for a while, and sometimes that might pay off.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't.
Exactly from
I agree with that.
from like a feeding bite to a
Mhm.
reaction bite kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
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 force them to eat rather than try to
yeah,
strike it for
yeah.
reaction.
I want to make them like, oh man, that looks good. That's kind of what we want to do. And
Yeah.
then he also asked, Tim Parker asked if anyone was throwing those big swim baits at all. He says he feels like a lone wolf.
I
Uh,
I haven't thrown any big swim baits.
yeah.
I don't think I have I would say I don't have the mindset, but it takes a lot to go out there and throw that big bait all day long. You need bigger gear, bigger rods.
Hmm.
It takes a toll on you. I know, even just throwing, just regular, crankbaits and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I just haven't got myself to discipline enough to be confident in throwing them all the time.
Mhm.
You know.
Okay. All right. Anything? Okay. So next, we're getting near the end here. So have you guys picked up anybody that's like helping you out with this? Supporters, sponsors, people that are doing anything for you as a new angler in a sport? Is there someone out there that's supporting you in that endeavor?
Hmm. Well, I wouldn't consider him like a new angler, but my dad's been supporting me.
Yeah.
My old man.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I got
Great
him
guy.
doing tournaments now too.
Yeah. Yeah. Great
I
guy.
I think my wife, I think, probably the best supporter because
Mhm.
everybody uh, needs to chase their passion, whatever it is, just a little bit to
Mhm.
keep
Mhm.
themselves whole. But
Mhm.
we have Josh Wigert. I think I fished
Yeah.
with him on the water. He's now going to start sponsoring some of our big hourly bass.
Mhm.
Making relationship, obviously for next year we have cross train. A lot of those guys are now part of the club and they're looking to help provide, and create a beer for the club too.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and also get them more on the water. They've done a couple year events there, Marty,
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
Flanagan.
Yeah.
So, slowly but surely, and it's our first year. It's newer club, so
Mhm.
I'm sure we'll get a little bit more
Mhm.
support here locally.
Yeah. And I want to let you guys know. So there's a lot of series. We have the Stick series. We have the Central State series. You've got a Kansas series. You got the Moyak. You got the Iowa Kayak League. There's a lot to choose from. There's weekly night leagues. There's online tournaments. You can pick what you want. You can pick the amount that you want. There's national trails that are growing rapidly. So you can fish at any level you want. I do want to say there's one next fall, and that's that major league. We're growing that a little bit now, but I got a big surprise coming on that hopefully soon here. It's gonna be really cool
Yeah.
uh, with that. And the other thing is, we might be teaming up with somebody in that one. Can't sing anymore right now. So be ready for a big surprise there. And it's in the fall when things are kind of laying low a little bit. And we've got it going at Flanagan to Prairie Queen and back to Flanagan again. And the weather could get dicey maybe, but generally we have great fall weather. So that, and we will have an Angler of the Year this year for those 3 events. And those are sponsored by Kayakjak and Ace. So far, the secret's not out yet, but get ready on that one. That could be a good one. So anything else, guys?
No, thanks everybody for coming and joining the stream today. It really means, a lot to me and Mike, I'm sure, since we're new, and this is an ongoing support here in the community. So again, thanks Marty for having us on board here.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Marty.
Yeah, and share it with your friends so they can hear you guys' hopes and dreams for this year and what kind of what you've been through. But I really do appreciate you guys being on, and from the very beginning, for me personally, it's always been about everybody. And I'm not saying anybody has a certain ability. I'm just saying that everybody should have a chance to express how they feel about the sport and what they're doing for the sport and what it's doing for them. I do want to ask you one more question before we go. What is it? Because right now this is a big topic. What has it done for your mental health? Fishing, the kayak fishing.
I would say the kayak fishing, for my mental health, it's definitely calmed me down. Like normally when I go out fishing, it's like go, go, go. Let's get this done. Let's catch a lot of fish, whatever. Now it's more take a deep breath, take your time, focus. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing, and just fish. That's it.
Yeah. I think for me, it's super vital. I work in a fast-paced industry, and I've been working from home since COVID started for over 2 years now. So having time to, be on the water allows me to reset mentally. I don't even have to think about it. The preparation, the time I get on the water, it goes so fast, and I take it for granted. So these, I look forward to every moment that I have to be on the water because it only makes me a better person as far as building a community. And like I said, for my personal health. So
there you go. And then that's thanks you guys for doing that, because I want to be able to let people know that this is a great way to help us with our everyday challenges that we have.
Definitely.
I'll be honest with you. One of the favorite things for me is just being on the road to the event.
Me too.
I just love that time. It's the anticipation of the event. And then afterwards, on the way home, the ride, thinking about what did I learn today and what was fun, and and then calling guys up and saying, hey, how'd it go for you today? And so the water is kind of like secondary to me. It's just getting there,
Exactly.
So you guys did a great job, man, and I hope that we can have some more conversations in the future.
Definitely.
And let's keep her going. So you guys have a great night and stay warm. And Michael, keep flashing those bluegills up on the screen for us. Awesome. And seeing your kids catch them too, that was pretty cool.
That was my daughter's first time ice fishing. She had a blast.
That's awesome. And if you know of anybody that wants to get involved with the youth part of it, get a hold of me or kayakjak.com. And also, if you have any friends that want to get into it, I am the official equipment manager for the Central States Series this year, because I've got extra of everything for everybody.
Awesome.
So,
perfect.
And then league nights too. If somebody's needing a board or a life jacket, anything, I've got that available for them. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot. And I'm going to shut it down here.
Thanks, Marty. You guys be safe and stay healthy.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Take care.